I should have brought my tea in here, but I didn't. I should have, but I did. I completely forgot about it. Anyhow, on the camera now. Earlier today, I was using or on the phone, I should say. Earlier, I was using the camera to do some videos, and that was pretty cool. But at any rate, um, let's see. Sorry, my bad. I was actually looking at some stuff. Got sidetracked. But at any rate, so I am going to read this Ask HershNoeie. And this is one where this person said, and I've seen this, I've experienced this before. Hey, Hersh, excuse me. I wanted to ask you about a particular situation that I'm dealing with. I'm fairly young, but I just started my working career, and I have someone who is close to the same age. I don't know exactly her age, but she's close to the same age, and is constantly bringing up what she has in her life, meaning, you know, the clothes that she has, where she buys stuff, where she lives, even though and the person goes on, but she's like, even though she lives in a great house, it's not something that she owns on her own. She had help. I'm out here working, doing the best that I can, and everything I have, I've worked for. I never understood why people wanted to keep up with other people or to brag about what they have. I find it a bit annoying. What advice can you give me? And how do I handle this type of situation where she is constantly bringing something up? Okay, good question. That's what's called immaturity. You will have people who, and I've seen this often. I'm not gonna put it out there like that, but there are people I know that will want to keep up with what you're doing just because they're not doing much. I'm being honest, you know, and you talk about how this person is roughly the same age. One of the big things, and I did a video talking earlier about age and maturity and all of that, and you get to a point where you get older and you don't really care about what people think. You know, at least in my case. I mean, you will get older, and the things that bother you now probably aren't going to bother you when you get older. Like, I have so many people that make comments about stuff or give an opinion when I'm not even seeking an opinion. Or they will say something and it's like, off you go. You know what I mean? It's like, you're just in the way. This isn't even about you. And so from time to time, you just have to kind of ignore people because they're stupid. You know, and the other thing is that a sign of extreme immaturity is when folks have to feel like they have to compete. Anybody. Here's one thing that some of the old folks used to tell me. Anybody can walk around and floss. Or say, look at where I live. The person you mentioned lives with their parents, so it's not like they haven't achieved anything. Achievement is no one helped me. When you achieve something, no one's backing you to help you. I don't count it if my daddy and my mommy helped me get something or whatever. That doesn't count in my book. I'm not saying a person doesn't work hard or what have you, but if you have family help, anybody can do that. That doesn't impress me. What impresses me is when you pull a Jeff Bezos, when you ain't got nobody to help you other than maybe your spouse, and you start from nothing and create something. That's something. It's not a big deal if someone cuts you a check to help you. That doesn't impress me. And more than likely, you're the person that is similar to a Jeff Bezos, who is, no one gave you nothing, but you are out here as a young person, you start your career, you're doing fairly good, you're doing pretty decent, and you have someone who had help and they feel insecure. That's not your problem. But they feel that way because they didn't do it on their own. You see what I'm saying? They didn't do it on their own. It's much easier when you have someone that helps you. And so I've come across that from time to time, where you have people that ain't did much, but they want to pretend like, look at what I'm doing. And it's childish. Now, here's what I would do, because you're working with the person, and it's kind of like you got to interact with idiots when you're working with people, unfortunately. But one of the best things to do as a sign of maturity is to stand tall as a king or a queen. Never let your crown slip. And the more that people look strange and weird, because sometimes when there's been instances where someone is trying to floss and you know they're out of their element. I've lived long enough when I know when someone's kind of out of their element and they're just yapping. Or when they're just in a situation, I know you're kind of out of your element. It has nothing to do with experience on the job or none of that. You're just out of your element and you're just in a situation. I can kind of tell just because I've been around the block a few times, worked several places a few times, been around people enough where you can kind of tell that this person really and truly is not, if the circumstances weren't what they were, they wouldn't even be in that position. And so the best way to navigate that is to basically kill them with kindness. And because there's nothing else that you can do. There's no point in going down the rabbit hole of trying to understand someone's psychology and try to dissect their immaturity. It eats up a lot of valuable time. It wastes a lot of your energy. It's just not needed. It's not needed. And instead, you could easily, let me archive, and archive. Okay, cool. And archive. And sorry, I have to archive some stuff. Okay, let me archive all that stuff. Clears things out. But at any rate, you have to navigate in a situation where you can still succeed. Don't let someone else take out or dim your light just so that they can shine a little bit. And so once you understand that really and truly they're in a battle on their own, like they're the whole, one of the reasons why I teach the girls to work very, very hard and to be humble is because no one likes, or at least I don't like a person who is A, braggadocious, B, not humble. Because again, the people who could brag don't typically brag. You know what I'm saying? The people, if you notice, people who broke their back working hard and actually achieved something without the help of someone else, they never brag about what they have, because they understood the journey it took to get there. The people who brag are the ones that had help somewhere along the line, typically. And so I think that is kind of the circumstance that you're dealing with. But I would just basically kill the person with kindness. That's all you can do. And also point out people's foolery when the time comes. I'm very patient. So I point out the foolery. I point out when someone's been very kind, and I bring it up in that other person's face. Only to basically say that I'm speaking truth. This person's kind. I appreciate, this, that, and the other. You're amazing. only to say that I have nothing to say to this other person. You see what I'm saying? That the best thing sometimes is silence. You can acknowledge a person, but you don't have to necessarily talk to them. You don't have to necessarily go down the, get in the weeds. I often have people who will try to do that only because mainly on social media, because social media is what it is. And so the best thing to do is typically to ignore. There's a lot of people who age-wise are adults, but mentally, no. And so you have to basically put all of that stuff out of your mind and focus on the task at hand. Because, the email goes into a little more detail, not a lot, but it goes into a little more detail. I mean, this is a girl who is from the Midwest, kind of Western Midwest, and is doing fairly good at a young age, right? Doing better than what I did when I was that age. So to some, that's intimidating. And especially when you have some people are jealous whenever you are the same demographics, or what they perceive as the same demographics, or less than, and you've already achieved what they did, or you've done more. Why? Because, again, immaturity. But I would really and truly stay firm and never devalue yourself by going down the rabbit hole and entertaining that person's stupidity, and to continue to do what you've been doing. Because at the end of the day, that's what counts. At the end of the day, people know that you're serious. The person, and I've been through this throughout my work life often. You will find people who are good at playing the system or playing a role, but really and truly, that's all that they're going to achieve. You know what I'm saying? That's all that they're going to achieve. They're too afraid to leave that position and go off to a different place or a different company or a different job, because they know that the reality is going to be there. And they're not going to do the same things. They're not going to be able to get away with the same things, achieve, the same type of status. No, they want to stay in the same position. It's like politicians, stay in the same position and beg for votes so that they can stay in, but then do nothing. Because they know if they have to get a real job, they can't get away with the stuff that they do of doing nothing. Right? So it's similar. It's similar. People want to keep their position. And if you come along and you can show them up just by actions and they feel threatened, then that's what you're going to typically get. I typically ignore those types of folks the best I can. And then when I do have to interact with them, I'm just like, all right, it's not that deep for me. And apparently for you, because you were like, it's not that deep. I don't get it. I don't get it either. It's typically not. For me, it's like, whatever. And if your attitude is trash, that speaks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to come out and say your attitude is trash. But I will say when someone is really awesome and amazing, I will definitely acknowledge that. I will talk about how, great this person is or whatever the case may be. And the people that are trash, I just don't say nothing. I may acknowledge you, but it's like, whatever. So it takes some time. I wasn't always that way. When I was younger, nope. That wasn't the case. But since I've gotten older, you kind of just let things just kind of wash off the dome and keep it moving. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. Anyhow, hope I answered your question. Make sure you join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.